You are out on the water tonight, and the sea has gone very still. The wind that pushed you along all afternoon has softened into something you can barely feel anymore. Just a light touch on your cheek, like a breath. You are sailing toward a cove you have visited before, a hidden place tucked behind a low headland, and you know that once you round that point, the water will turn to glass. The light is fading now, but it is not dark yet. The sky is a deep, soft blue, the kind of blue that comes just after sunset, when the last orange has melted away and the first stars have not quite shown themselves. You can feel the boat moving beneath you, a slow, easy rise and fall, steady as breathing. Your hand rests on the wheel, and you notice how smooth it is, worn down over the years by hands just like yours. The wood polished to a soft shine. It is cool at first touch, but it warms quickly under your palm. You keep your grip loose. There is nothing to fight against tonight. The sea has settled into long, gentle swells, wide and slow, lifting the hull and setting it down again, in a rhythm that feels older than you are. You can hear the water moving along the sides of the boat, a soft hushing sound, like someone whispering just at the edge of hearing. It never stops. It just changes in volume, louder when the bow dips, quieter when it rises. The air smells like salt, but a clean kind of salt, mixed with something green, something like kelp, drying on warm rocks. And underneath it all, the faint, comforting smell of the boat itself, teak oil and canvas and the particular mustiness of old rope. You breathe it in slowly, and it settles somewhere behind your ribs, warm and familiar. Beneath your feet, the deck is cool through your socks, but not cold, still holding the memory of the afternoon sun in small, uneven patches. You shift your weight slightly, feeling the boat answer, that easy, forgiving give that only a boat on calm water can offer. Nothing sharp, nothing sudden, just a slow leaning one way and then the other, like something breathing very slowly in its sleep. The rigging above you makes its own small music, a soft ticking where a loose line taps gently against the mast. Unhurried, almost lazy, more like a clock winding down than any kind of urgent sound. You let your eyes drift upward for a moment, tracing the dark line of the mast against the darkening sky, and you notice how still it looks now, how little it sways, compared to the wide arcs it carved earlier in the day when the wind was fuller. Your jacket brushes softly against your arms as you move, the fabric worn smooth in places from years of use, and you can feel the small chill of the evening starting to creep in at your wrists and the back of your neck. Gentle, not unpleasant, the kind of cold that only makes you more aware of how warm you are everywhere else. Somewhere behind you, the wake of the boat, what little wake remains now that your speed has dropped so low, makes a soft trailing hiss, fading out into stillness a few feet astern. You listen to it fade each time, a small private ritual, the sound dissolving into the greater quiet of the cove. Ahead of you, the headland grows larger, a dark shape rising out of the water, its edges softened by the dusk. You steer a little to starboard, easing the bow around the point, and as you do, you feel the change before you even see it. The swells begin to shrink. The motion beneath you smooths out, the long, slow rise and fall becoming shorter, gentler, until it is barely there at all. This is the moment you always wait for, the moment the open sea lets go of you, and the cove takes you in instead. Inside the cove, the water is almost flat, just the faintest ripple, catching what little light is left. The headland blocks the wind entirely now, and the sails, which had been holding a gentle curve, begin to soften, the fabric losing its shape, starting to flutter just slightly at the edges. You can hear it, a soft rustling, like a curtain moving in a room with the window barely cracked. The boat slows. You feel the deck settle lower beneath your feet, steadier now, more solid. You look around at the cove taking shape around you in the low light. The water is a deep, dark green near the shore, growing darker still toward the center, where you plan to anchor. Trees line the edges, their shapes soft and blurred in the dimness, and here and there a pale rock catches the last bit of sky's light and holds it, glowing faintly. It is quiet here, in a way that feels complete. Not silent, exactly. You can still hear small sounds, water lapping somewhere against the rocks, a bird calling once, far off, and then nothing. But it is a quiet that wraps around you, thick and soft, like a blanket settling over your shoulders. It is time to bring the sails down. You move forward along the deck, feeling it shift very slightly under your weight, though it is so steady now that you barely need to hold on. Your bare feet find the familiar texture of the non-slip surface, slightly rough, still warm from the day's sun, even though the sun itself is gone. You reach the mast and place one hand against it, feeling the aluminum cool and smooth beneath your palm. A faint vibration running through it from somewhere deep in the rigging. So slight you almost cannot tell if you feel it or only imagine it. You release the halyard slowly, feeling the rope slide through your hand, thick and slightly fuzzy with wear. The kind of rope that has been coiled and uncoiled so many times it has gone soft. As you ease it out, the mainsail begins to come down, folding itself in slow waves, the fabric sighing as it settles. First onto the boom, then gathering in loose folds that you gather toward you and tame with your forearms. The sailcloth is cool and a little damp with evening air, smooth under your fingers, and it makes a soft crinkling sound as you fold it, almost like paper, but softer, quieter. You work without hurrying. There is no reason to hurry. Each fold falls into the last, and you smooth your hand over the top of the pile, the way you might smooth a blanket over a bed, pressing out the small ridges, feeling the canvas grow flatter and more even beneath your palm. When it is mostly settled, you loop the sail ties around it, one after another, pulling each one snug but not tight, just enough to hold the folds in place through the night. The rope makes a small, satisfying sound each time it cinches down, a soft thud against soft cloth. Oh, you move back toward the cockpit, and along the way, you notice how the light has changed again. The sky above the headland has gone a deeper blue now, almost purple at its highest point, and the first star has appeared, small and steady, right where the sky meets the dark shape of the hills. The air feels cooler on your skin, a gentle coolness rather than a cold one, the kind that makes you glad for the light jacket you are wearing, the kind that makes the warmth of your own body feel very present and comforting. The water around the boat is so still now that it holds a faint reflection of that first star, a tiny point of light trembling on the black surface every time the smallest ripple passes through. You watch it for a moment before turning your attention to the anchor. The anchor sits at the bow, heavy and dark, its metal cool and slightly damp under your hand when you touch it, the surface a little rough with small flecks of rust that have never quite been polished away. No matter how many times you have cleaned it, you like the weight of it. It feels solid, dependable, the kind of object that has one very simple job and does it well every single time. You check the chain where it lies coiled beside the anchor, the links thick and cold, each one clinking softly against its neighbour as you shift it, a small metallic sound that echoes faintly across the still water of the cove. You look down into the water and can just make out, in the last of the light, the pale shape of the sandy bottom below. Not too deep here. Calm and clear. You choose your spot carefully, though there is no urgency in the choosing. Just a slow, familiar checking of distances. The headland on one side, the dark line of trees on the other. Judging where the boat will sit once it swings gently on its chain through the night. When you are satisfied, you release the anchor. It drops from your hands and falls away into the dark water with a soft splash. And then you hear the chain begin to run out after it, link by link, a steady rattling sound that grows quieter as more chain disappears beneath the surface, the sound changing in pitch as it goes, from a sharp clatter near the top to a duller, softer rumble as the weight of the anchor pulls it down. You let the chain feed out slowly through your gloved hand, feeling each link pass beneath your fingers, cool and slightly gritty, until you feel the moment the anchor finds the bottom. The chain goes slack for just a second, then draws taut, and you feel the whole boat respond. A small, gentle tug backward, and then stillness. You give the chain a little more length, easing it out further, watching it disappear into the dark water at an angle now, running from the bow down into the cove floor. You want plenty of chain out tonight, enough that the anchor sits with a good, low angle, so it can dig in and hold without strain. You feel the boat drift back slowly on the chain. Feel the small motions as the anchor settles itself deeper, tiny vibrations travelling up through the chain and into the deck beneath your feet. And then, finally, nothing. No more movement. Just the boat, resting. You secure the chain at the bow with practiced hands, wrapping it once, twice, around the cleat, feeling the metal cold and firm beneath your fingers. The final motion small and certain. You give the chain a gentle pull, testing it, and feel the solid resistance. The anchor holding fast somewhere below in the dark, unseen sand. For a moment you simply kneel there at the bow, your hand still resting on the cool metal of the cleat, and you feel the whole boat around you, settled now, steady, safe. The gentle rocking that carried you across open water has smoothed into something almost still. Just the smallest, slowest sway, side to side, so gentle you could almost believe you imagine it. The sound of the sea outside the cove has faded to a distant murmur, softened by the headland, and in its place is this close, quiet lapping, water-meeting hull in small, unhurried sounds, over and over, patient and endless. You stay there a while longer, not moving, just feeling the night settle in around you, the way the boat has settled into the water. The sky above is fully dark now, scattered with more stars than you bothered to count, and the cool air moves gently across your face, carrying that same clean scent of salt and green growing things, mixed now with something else, something warm, the faint smell of the wood and rope of the boat itself, holding the last of the day's heat. The hull creaks once, softly, a small settling sound, wood and fiberglass, shifting almost nothing at all, finding its resting position for the night. You feel it, more than hear it. A faint vibration through your knees where you kneel on the deck. Somewhere far off, past the mouth of the cove, you can still hear the faintest suggestion of open water. A low, distant hush. But here inside the cove, everything close to you has gone soft and slow and quiet. You rise slowly, unhurried, your legs a little stiff from kneeling, and you stand for a moment at the bow, looking out at the dark shapes of the headland on either side, cradling this small stretch of still water, and the boat resting upon it. The first chill of night is settling in, but it feels good against your warm skin. Grounding, real. You take one more slow breath of the cool salt air, feeling it fill your chest completely, and you let it out even more slowly, feeling your shoulders drop, feeling something in you settle the same way the boat has settled, the same way the anchor has found its place in the sand below. The sails are down, the anchor is set, the boat is still, resting easy in its hidden, quiet cove, and the whole soft night is spread out above you, patient and unhurried, in no rush at all. You stand for a while at the bow, feeling the last of the boat's settling movements fade beneath you, and then you begin to move aft, slowly, your hand trailing along the lifeline as you go. The wire is cool and slightly damp with evening air, its plastic coating smooth under your fingers, except where small ridges mark the fittings, each one passing beneath your palm at a steady, familiar interval. You do not need to look down to know where your feet are going. You have walked this deck so many times that your body simply knows, weight shifting easily from one foot to the other, toes finding the raised, slightly rough texture of the non-skid surface, still faintly warm in places, cool in others, a patchwork of temperatures left behind by the day. The boat rocks beneath you in the smallest of motions now, barely a rock at all, more like a breath held and released very slowly, over and over. You feel it mostly in your knees, a soft, easy give that asks nothing of you. No correction, no bracing, just a gentle invitation to sway along with it, if you like. You do, a little, letting your hips loosen, your steps falling into that same slow rhythm, matching the boat rather than fighting it. At the shrouds, you pause and take hold of one of the heavy lines coiled at its base, lifting it slightly to check the tension where it disappears up into the darkness toward the mast. The rope is thick beneath your fingers, its fibers slightly fuzzed with age and use, soft in the way that only well-worn rope becomes, no longer stiff and new but pliable, almost like it has learned the shape of hands over the years. You run your palm along its length, feeling for any place where it might have chafed or frayed. But there is nothing. Just smooth, steady rope, doing exactly what it has always done. You linger there a moment longer than you need to, simply because it feels good to stand still in the dark, with your hand on something solid. The shroud hums very faintly under your touch, a vibration so small you cannot tell if it comes from the boat itself or from somewhere deeper, the water perhaps, or the wind moving high above where you cannot feel it directly. You press your thumb gently against the swage fitting where the wire meets its turnbuckle, feeling the cool, slightly oily metal, smooth from years of careful maintenance, and you turn the little bottle screw, just enough to confirm it is snug, though you already knew it would be. The check is not really for the boat's sake tonight. It is for yours. A small excuse to touch each part of this vessel that has carried you safely into such a quiet place. Your eyes have adjusted enough now to make out the pale gleam of the deck fittings around you, faint silver shapes against the darker teak and fiberglass. And you notice how the whole boat seems to glow just slightly under the gathering starlight, a soft, colourless shine along every polished edge. Somewhere below your feet you can feel, more than hear, the faint gurgle of water moving along the hull. A low, private sound, intimate in a way that only makes sense when you're standing this close to it, barefoot, in the dark, with nothing else demanding your attention. You continue aft, one hand still resting lightly on the lifeline, feeling the small vibration that travels through it whenever the boat shifts. A faint hum passing from the wire into your fingers and then fading again into stillness. The cove around you has gone almost entirely dark now, the headland reduced to a deeper black shape against a sky only slightly less black, scattered now with a wide spread of stars, more of them showing themselves with every passing minute, faint and steady, patient in their appearing. You reach the first of the mooring lines you will need to check, coiled neatly on the deck where you left it, and you crouch down beside it, feeling your knees settle against the deck's gentle warmth. The coil is heavy in your hands as you lift it. Thick nylon rope, slightly stiff on the outside from salt and sun, but softening as your fingers work into the coil, finding the familiar give of rope that has spent years learning to bend. You uncoil a length of it, letting it run slowly through your hands, feeling each small twist and turn pass beneath your fingers. A texture, almost like a rough, gentle braid, comforting in its repetition. You carry the line to the cleat near the stern and begin to make it fast, wrapping it once around the base the way you always do, feeling the metal cold and smooth beneath the rope, then guiding the line up and over in a figure eight, your hands moving through motions so practiced they need almost no thought at all. There is something deeply satisfying in this kind of work that asks only for patience and care, work with no urgency in it anywhere. You pull the final loop snug, feeling the small resistance of the rope tightening against itself, and you press your palm flat against the finished knot for a moment, checking it the way you always do, feeling its solidness, its readiness to hold through whatever small movements the night might bring. The night air has cooled further now, settling around you in soft, even layers. Cool at your ankles, cool along your forearms where your sleeves are pushed up, but warm still at your chest, where your body holds its own quiet heat close. You breathe it in, that mixture of salt and cool stone, and the faint green smell of the trees along the shoreline. And beneath it all, closer now, the warm smell of the boat itself, teak and old varnish, and the particular mustiness of canvas that has spent the day in the sun. You move to check the second line, a longer one this time, running from a cleat near the cockpit out toward a smaller point along the headland, where you sometimes tie off for extra security on especially still nights like this one. You walk the deck slowly, letting the boat's small movements guide your steps, feeling the very faint sway carry you gently from side to side as you go, your bare feet finding the cool, slightly gritty texture of salt residue left behind from the day's spray, dried now into a fine, faint roughness beneath your soles. You crouch again at the second cleat, and your fingers find the rope there, thinner than the first, a little more flexible, and you check it the same way running your hand along its length, feeling for any small imperfection, any sign of wear, though you know, even as you check, that you will find none. This is not really about finding problems. It is about the checking itself, the slow, steady ritual of moving your hands along every line, every knot, every place where the boat connects to the stillness around it, making sure, and in making sure, settling more and more deeply into the calm of the place. You tie the line off with the same unhurried figure 8 you always use, your fingers moving through the pattern from memory. No thought required, only feeling. The rope crossing over itself in soft, familiar loops. When it is done, you rest both hands flat on your knees for a moment and simply listen. Somewhere out past the headland, a single wave rolls quietly against a rock you cannot see. A low, round sound. There, and then gone, swallowed almost instantly by the deeper quiet of the cove. Nearer to you, the water against the hull continues its own small conversation. A soft, wet murmur that rises and falls with the boat's faint rocking. Never urgent, never loud. Simply present, the way a clock ticking in another room is present. Something you stop noticing and then notice again, gently, without effort. You glance down at your hands in the low light, faintly grey against the dark of the deck, and you flex your fingers slowly, feeling the pleasant looseness that comes after work well done. The rope's texture still faintly present against your palms even after you have let go of it. A kind of memory held briefly in the skin. With both lines secured, you make your way back along the deck toward the cockpit, moving even more slowly now, your body growing heavier with the same quiet ease that has settled over the boat. The rocking beneath you has become so gentle that you have to hold very still to notice it at all. Just the faintest lean, first to one side, then the other. So soft it feels less like movement and more like the boat breathing along with you. In and out, in and out. You pause at the mast once more and check the halyard you tied off earlier, running your hand along it out of habit, feeling the familiar roughness of the rope, the small give of a well-made knot holding fast exactly where you left it. You give it a gentle tug, feel the solid resistance, and let your hand fall away satisfied. Above you, the boom sits quiet and still, lashed down snug, no longer swinging even the smallest amount, and you glance up at it for a moment, watching how the faint starlight catches along its smooth surface. A thin silver line tracing its length in the dark. You check the small hatch near the mast, running your fingers along its edge to make sure it sits flush and sealed, feeling the cool metal latch beneath your fingertips. Solid, secure. Everything on this boat has its place. And tonight, in this cove, everything has settled into that place. Each line coiled, each knot tied, each surface wiped free of the day's salt spray. And you feel that settling in your own body too, a loosening in your shoulders, a softening in your jaw, a slow unclenching. You did not even notice you were holding until it began to let go. You make your way to the cockpit and lower yourself onto one of the cushioned seats, feeling it give slightly beneath you, still faintly warm, softened by the day's sun even now. Hours later, you let your hands rest in your lap, and for a moment you simply sit, listening to the small sounds of the cove settling in around you. The soft lap of water against the hull, close and steady. A sound that never quite repeats itself exactly the same way twice. yet never really changes either. Just water, meeting wood, over and over, patient and unhurried. The boat rocks so gently now that you find yourself swaying with it without meaning to, your whole body following its slow rhythm, side to side, side to side. A motion so soft it feels almost like being held. You look up and find the stars fuller now than before, spreading in a wide, quiet arc above the dark shape of the headland. More of them, showing themselves the longer you sit still and let your eyes adjust to the deepening dark. Somewhere far off, beyond the mouth of the cove, you can still hear the faintest whisper of the open sea, or a low, distant hush. But it feels miles away now, softened by the sheltering arms of the headland, into something almost like a memory of sound rather than the sound itself. You check the last of the deck gear without rising, your eyes moving slowly across the shapes around you in the dark. The neatly coiled lines, the lashed boom, the closed hatches. Everything exactly as it should be, exactly as it will remain through the long, quiet hours ahead. You feel no need to check anything twice. The boat is secure. The cove is still. The only motion left is this small, endless rocking, gentle as a hand resting on your back, gentle as breath. You let your head tip back slightly against the cushion behind you, feeling the cool night air settle over your face, feeling the faint dampness of the evening beginning to gather on your skin, not uncomfortable, just present, just another small sensation among all the others. Your hands, still faintly rough from the ropes, rest open in your lap, and you notice, almost distantly, how heavy they feel, how heavy your whole body feels, settling into the cushion the way the boat has settled into the water, the way the anchor has settled into the sand far below. The rocking continues, slow and unbroken, side to side, and the water continues its soft, steady lapping against the hull, close and constant. And above you the stars continue their slow, silent gathering across the sky, and all around you the cove holds its stillness, deep and complete, asking nothing of you now but to sit here, quiet, secure, rocked gently by the small, patient movement of water that will carry on exactly like this, unhurried and unchanging, for as long as you care to stay and listen. You rise slowly from the cockpit cushion, feeling the last of its warmth slip away from beneath you as you move, and you make your way toward the companionway, your steps soft and unhurried on the cool teak, your hand finding the smooth curve of the handrail as you begin to descend, one slow step at a time, into the deeper dark of the cabin below. The air changes almost immediately as you go down, the cool, salt-touched night giving way to something warmer, closer, a stillness that has been holding its own gentle heat all through the evening, waiting for you to come back into it. You feel it settle around your shoulders like a blanket taken fresh from a dryer, and you breathe it in, that particular below-deck smell of wood and cushion fabric, and the faint sweetness of the oil lamp you are about to light. Your fingers find the small brass lamp mounted near the galley, and you turn the little knob slowly, feeling the faint resistance of the wick catching, and then the soft flare of light as the flame takes hold, small and golden, wavering gently with the almost imperceptible rocking of the boat. The light spreads out low and warm across the cabin, catching on the varnished wood of the table, on the soft cushions along the settee, on the curved undersides of the deck, beams above your head, everything glowing faintly amber, everything soft-edged and comforting in a way that electric light never quite manages. You stand for a moment, simply looking around at the small, familiar space, feeling how complete it seems now, how self-contained. This whole little world of wood and cushion and quiet light, floating gently in its hidden cove, while the last of the day fades away outside. Through the nearest porthole, round and brass-rimmed, you can see a thin sliver of sky, deep violet now, fading toward true black at its edges, and you watch it for a moment before turning toward the galley, ready to begin. You run your hand along the edge of the small table as you pass it, feeling the varnish smooth and cool beneath your fingertips, worn into a soft shine by years of meals just like the one you are about to make. The cushions along the settee catch the lamplight in slow, shifting patterns, deep red fading to a warmer amber wherever the flame leans closest, and you notice how the whole cabin seems to hold its own kind of hush, different from the hush outside on deck, thicker somehow, closer, wrapped around you rather than simply surrounding you. Even the small sounds down here feel softened. The faint creak of a cushion as you shift your weight, the low murmur of water against the hull reaching you now through wood and insulation, muffled into something almost like a heartbeat, felt through a closed door rather than heard directly. The galley is small, everything within easy reach, and you move through it with the same unhurried familiarity you brought to checking the lines earlier, your hands finding pot and pan and small jar without needing to search, each motion smooth and practiced. You light the little gimbaled stove, watching the small blue flame catch and steady itself, swaying only slightly with the boat's gentle motion, always finding its balance again, no matter which way the hull leans. You set a pot of water onto warm, and while it begins its slow climb toward a simmer, you gather what you need for tonight's dinner. Simple things, the kind of meal that asks for no real effort and rewards you anyway. Bread wrapped in a soft cloth, a wedge of cheese, a small tin of good olive oil, a handful of tomatoes still faintly warm from where they sat in the afternoon sun, on the shelf above the sink. You slice the tomatoes slowly, the knife moving through their soft flesh with almost no resistance, and the smell rises up immediately, bright and green and slightly sweet, filling the small cabin in a way that makes your stomach settle into a quiet, anticipatory warmth. You arrange the slices on a plate, drizzle them with oil, and the smell of that too joins the tomatoes. Richer, rounder, a smell that always makes you think of warm afternoons even here, in the cooling dark of the evening. You tear the bread by hand, rather than cutting it, feeling the crust give way with a soft, satisfying crackle. The inside soft and slightly warm still, and the smell of it, yeasty and faintly nutty, mixes with everything else rising from the little counter. Tomato and oil and bread, and underneath it all, the faint smell of the cheese, sharp and milky, waiting in its own small paper. You unwrap the cheese slowly, peeling back the paper in soft folds, and you cut a small piece to taste before you begin cooking in earnest. The flavour sharp and a little salty on your tongue, dissolving slowly, leaving behind a faint richness that lingers pleasantly. You set the rest aside, ready for later, and you take a moment to simply stand there in the low golden light one hand resting on the edge of the counter, feeling the small, steady rock of the boat beneath your bare feet. A rhythm so gentle now it feels almost like standing on solid ground that has simply decided to breathe. The water on the stove begins to whisper, tiny bubbles gathering at the bottom of the pot, and you add a generous pinch of salt, watching it dissolve. And then a handful of small pasta shapes, simple ones, the kind that cook quickly and ask for nothing more than butter and a little of the cheese you have already set aside. You stir slowly, the wooden spoon moving in easy circles, and you watch the pasta begin to soften, the water clouding faintly white around it. The small, steady sound of the simmer filling the cabin, along with its warm, starchy smell. While it cooks, you lean back against the counter for a moment, feeling the gentle sway of the boat beneath your feet, so soft now it barely registers as movement at all, more like the whole cabin, breathing slowly, in and out around you. The oil lamp flickers, throwing small shifting shadows across the wood-panelled walls. And outside the porthole beside you, the last trace of violet has finally faded from the sky, leaving only a deep, complete darkness. Scattered now with the faint pinpricks of stars visible even through the small round glass. You watch it for a long moment, that little circle of night framed so neatly, so completely, feeling how far away it seems now, how safely separate this warm, golden space feels from the cool dark pressing gently against the hull outside. When the pasta is ready, you drain it carefully, the steam rising up around your face in a warm, damp cloud that smells faintly of salt and starch, and you toss it in the pot with a spoonful of butter, watching it melt slowly, coating each small shape eggs in a thin, glossy sheen. You grate a little of the cheese over the top, feeling the small resistance of the grater against your palm, watching the fine curls fall and settle, melting almost instantly into soft, pale threads against the warm pasta. You carry the pot to the small table, along with a plate of tomatoes and the torn bread, and you set everything down carefully, feeling the boat's gentle rock beneath the table legs. Though nothing slides, nothing tips, the whole small setting holding steady in its own quiet balance. You settle onto the cushioned bench along the table, feeling it give slightly beneath you, soft and worn into a shape that seems to have been waiting for you all along. And you serve yourself slowly, without any hurry at all, watching the steam rise from the pasta in the low lamplight, curling upward and disappearing into the shadowed space near the deck beams above. You take your first bite, and the warmth of it spreads through you immediately. Simple and rich, butter and a little salt, and the faint sharpness of the cheese. And beside it the bright, cool contrast of the tomato, soft and slightly sweet, the oil coating your tongue in a smooth, comforting layer. You eat slowly, savouring each small bite, letting the meal stretch out across long, unhurried minutes, because there is truly nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. Only this. The warm cabin, the low golden light, the soft sounds of the water against the hull just beyond the wooden walls. Patient and constant, a sound so familiar now that it has become almost like silence itself, present but no longer separate from the deep quiet of the evening. You tear off another piece of bread and use it to gather the last of the oil pooled on your plate, the crust soaking it up eagerly. And you eat that too, savouring the simple richness of it, feeling, with each small bite, your body settling further and further into a warm, unhurried heaviness. Every so often, the lamp flame leans a little to one side as the boat sways, and you find yourself watching it, drawn in by the way the light shifts and settles again, over and over. A small private show that asks nothing of you except your quiet attention. The warmth of the cabin has gathered fully around you now. No trace of the outside chill reaching this far down, and you feel it most in your fingers and the tops of your feet. A soft, all-over warmth that makes your eyelids feel heavier with every slow, contented breath. Somewhere above you, very faintly, you hear the small tick of rigging shifting against the mast, a sound so distant and so gentle now that it barely registers as anything separate from the general hush of the evening. Simply one more small note in the same slow, patient song the whole cove seems to be humming tonight. Outside the porthole, the darkness has become complete now. No trace of colour left anywhere in the sky. Just a soft, star-scattered black, pressing gently against the small round glass. And inside, the lamp continues its low, steady glow, warm and golden, catching on the curve of your empty glass, on the grain of the table, on the soft folds of the cushion beneath you. You pour yourself a small measure of something warm from a thermos you brought down earlier. Tea, perhaps, or something a little richer. Oh, and you wrap both hands around the cup, feeling its gentle heat seep into your palms, feeling how completely, how thoroughly comfortable your whole body has become, sitting here in this small, glowing space, while the boat rocks so gently around you that you have long since stopped noticing it as separate from your own slow breathing. You finish the last of your dinner slowly, unhurried even now, scraping the final small curls of cheese from the pot with the edge of your spoon, and you sit back against the cushion with a long, easy sigh, feeling how full and warm and settled you have become. The whole meal sitting comfortably inside you, like another small, steady source of heat to match the lamp's glow, and the cabin's close, wood-scented warmth. You let your eyes travel slowly around the little cabin once more, taking in each familiar shape in the low light, the curved beams overhead, the small shelf of books tucked against one wall, their spines soft with salt air and years of handling, the neat coil of a spare line hanging from its hook near the companionway. Everything exactly in its place. Everything quiet. Everything still. You gather the dishes slowly, carrying them the short distance to the small sink, and you rinse them without any particular hurry, listening to the soft trickle of water, watching the last traces of oil swirl and disappear down the drain. And when you are done, you dry your hands on the worn cloth hanging beside the stove, feeling its familiar softness, and you turn back toward the cabin, toward the low golden light and the soft cushions and the deep, settled quiet, and you find yourself lingering there a moment longer, simply standing, simply breathing, feeling in your whole body how completely the day has wound itself down into this one small, warm, floating room, and how little separates you now from the deep, unhurried rest that waits just a few steps further, patient, and in no hurry at all to be reached. You dim the little lamp just slightly, turning the small brass knob until the flame settles into an even lower, steadier glow, soft enough now that the shadows in the corners of the cabin have grown longer and gentler, folding themselves into the curved wood of the hull without ever feeling dark or unwelcoming. You glance once more through the porthole beside the table, and the sky there has become fully, completely night. A deep field of black scattered generously with stars, more of them visible now than at any point earlier in the evening, small and steady, and utterly unhurried in their slow wheel overhead. You watch them for a long, quiet moment, feeling the last warmth of the meal still settle comfortably in your chest, feeling the boat's soft, endless rocking beneath your feet, side to side, side to side. So gentle now that it has become simply another part of the stillness, rather than any kind of motion at all. The cabin around you holds its warmth like cupped hands, close and complete. The smell of the meal slowly softening now into something gentler. Bread and oil and the faint sweetness of the lamp's small flame. All of it mingling into one comfortable, familiar scent that seems to belong entirely to this boat, this cove, this particular quiet night. You fold the cloth you use to dry your hands and set it back on its hook, and you let your eyes travel once more around the small space, the curved beams, the soft cushions, the neat shelf of salt-softened books, feeling how thoroughly settled everything has become, how completely the evening has arranged itself into this slow, warm stillness that asks nothing more of you now than to simply stand here a little longer, unhurried, full and heavy, with the same easy calm that has settled over the whole boat, the whole cove, the whole dark and quiet night outside. You turn the lamp down further still, until only the faintest gold remains, just enough to see the shapes of things by, the curve of the bunk ahead of you, the soft mound of blankets waiting there, folded back the way you always leave them, ready. You move toward the bunk slowly, your steps small in the low light, your hand trailing along the smooth wood of the cabin wall as you go. Feeling its coolness fade the closer you get to the warm little nook where you will sleep tonight, tucked into the curve of the hull, sheltered on every side. The bunk sits low and close beneath the deck above, its wooden frame worn smooth by years of hands and knees, finding their way into it just like this, at the end of a long, easy day. And you run your palm once along its edge before you settle in, feeling the grain of the wood, the small nicks and softened corners that only come from being used gently, over and over, for a purpose exactly like this one. A single reading lamp is fixed to the wall above the pillow, its small brass shade angled downward, though you leave it unlit tonight, content with the faint gold spill from the galley lamp still glowing low behind you. The pillow beneath your searching hand is cool at first, the way pillows always are before you settle into them, and you press it once, gently, feeling its softness give, and then slowly rise again, waiting for the shape of your head. Above you, the underside of the deck curves close, near enough that you could reach up and touch it without fully extending your arm, and you find that closeness comforting rather than confining tonight, the way a small room can feel safer than a large one. The walls standing in for arms wrapped loosely around you. You sit first on the edge of the bunk, feeling the mattress give gently beneath you, soft but firm enough to hold you well, and you rest there a moment, your bare feet still on the cabin floor, feeling its faint warmth, feeling the whole boat's small, steady rock travelling up through the wood and into the soles of your feet, so gentle now that it feels less like movement and more like a slow, patient pulse, something alive, and unhurried. Something that has been rocking gently like this for longer than you can remember, and will keep rocking gently like this, long after you have closed your eyes. You swing your legs up and in, settling back against the pillow, feeling its softness receive the weight of your head, moulding itself slowly around you, and you let out a long, slow breath, feeling your whole body begin to release, shoulders sinking, spine lengthening, the last small tensions of the day finding no reason to stay any longer. You reach over once and turn the little lamp down a final small notch, the faint gold glow softening even further, until the whole cabin seems to hold nothing but a warm, dim hush. You reach down and draw the blankets up over you, and you feel their weight settle across your body slowly, layer by layer, heavy in the most comforting way, a weight that seems to press you gently downward into the mattress, rather than holding you in place, a weight that feels less like being covered and more like being held. The fabric is soft against your chin, worn smooth by years of night, just like this one. And beneath it, you can feel your own warmth beginning to gather, spreading slowly from your chest outward, into your arms, down through your legs, filling the small space beneath the blankets with a close, private heat that makes the whole rest of the world feel very far away. There are 2 blankets tonight, you remember. A thinner one first, soft cotton against your skin, and then the heavier one over that. A thick, quilted weight that settles across your chest and shoulders, like something with real presence, real substance, pressing down just enough to make you feel gathered together, all of you held in one place. Rather than scattered loosely across the bunk, you tuck one corner of it beneath your shoulder, feeling the small draft of cooler air disappear the moment you do, sealing yourself into this close, warm pocket of stillness. And you feel your toes, which had been faintly cool, begin to warm slowly too, the heat travelling all the way down and settling there at last, small and complete. The quilted blanket carries its own faint smell, cedar and something a little like sun-dried cotton, the smell of a chest it has spent long days folded inside of before tonight, and you breathe it in slowly, finding it as familiar and comforting as anything else in this small cabin. Beneath your cheek, the pillowcase has grown warm now too, taking on the heat of your own skin, and you turn your head slightly, finding an even softer angle, feeling the last small adjustment settle you fully, completely, into a stillness that asks for nothing further. You shift once, finding the exact position your body wants, the curve of your hip settling into the mattress, your arm finding its place beneath the pillow. And once you are still, you find you do not want to move again. Not for a long while. Perhaps not at all. The stillness itself becoming its own kind of comfort. A decision your body has already made without needing your permission. The cabin around you has gone almost entirely dark now. The lamp turned down so low that it offers only the faintest suggestion of light. A dim gold glow just barely touching the underside of the deck beams above you. And beyond that, everything softens into shadow, gentle and formless. The corners of the cabin folding quietly into darkness, the way your own thoughts have already begun to fold, one into another, losing their sharp edges. And beneath all of it, beneath the blankets and the pillow and the low fading light, there is the water. You can hear it clearly now, close against the hull just beside your head. A soft, steady lapping, that never quite repeats itself the same way twice, and yet never really changes either. The same easy rhythm carrying on and on. Water meeting wood, over and over. Patient, unbroken, endlessly slow. You let yourself listen to it the way you might listen to something being told to you, very quietly, very kindly. A story with no real beginning and no real end. Just this long, soft murmur, rising and falling, rising and falling, matching. Somehow, the same slow rhythm your own breath has begun to settle into, without your really deciding it should. The sound seems to come from everywhere at once now, close against the hull beside your ear, but also somehow beneath you, beneath the mattress, beneath the whole boat, as though the water were not just outside the wood but somehow woven into it, part of the boat's own slow heartbeat, rather than something separate happening around it. Every few moments a slightly larger ripple passes, a softer, rounder sound, and then the smaller, steadier lapping resumes beneath it, over and over. A rhythm with no urgency in it anywhere, a rhythm that seems to have been going on for a very long time already, and will keep going on for a very long time still, whether or not you are awake to hear it. Every so often, further off, a single small sound reaches you from somewhere beyond the hull, a bird settling in the trees along the shore, or perhaps only a branch shifting in the faint night breeze, and it arrives softened and distant, more felt than heard. A small punctuation in the long, unbroken sentence the water has been speaking all this while. The boat rocks with the water, and you rock with the boat, so gently now that you could not say, if someone asked you, whether you were still moving at all, or whether the movement had become simply a memory of movement, a felt sense rather than an actual motion, something your body understands more than your mind does. Your eyelids have grown heavy, heavier than the blankets even, and you let them fall, slowly, and the dim gold light beyond them softens further still into a warm, formless blur, and then into nothing at all. Just the deep, comfortable dark of your own closed eyes, matching the deep, comfortable dark of the cabin around you. The sound of the water keeps going, slow and close and endless, and you find that you have stopped trying to listen to it and have simply let it hold you instead, the way the blankets are holding you, the way the mattress is holding you, the way the whole small boat is holding you, cradled here in its hidden cove, while the wide, dark night stretches out unseen beyond the portholes. Somewhere far off, past the edge of your hearing, the sea continues its own slow breathing against the rocks beyond the headland, but it no longer reaches you here. Not really. Softened into something so distant and so gentle that it has become almost indistinguishable from silence, almost indistinguishable from sleep itself. Your breathing has slowed further still, matching itself so closely now to the rise and fall of the water against the hull that the two seem to have become one single motion, one long, unhurried tide, moving through you and around you at the very same time. In, and then a long, easy pause, and then out, slow and complete, and then that same soft, patient stillness again, before the next breath gathers itself and comes. You are not counting the breath. You've stopped needing to count anything at all. The counting, like so much else tonight, has simply been set down somewhere behind you, left folded neatly on the cabin floor, along with the last small thoughts of the day, and you find you do not miss it, the way you do not miss right now any of the small tasks and small decisions that filled the hours before this one. All of them quietly released, one by one, until only this remained. This warmth, this weight, this slow and steady rocking. Your thoughts, what few remain, have begun to drift the way the boat drifts, loose and slow and unanchored to anything in particular. One soft image following another without any real order. The warm smell of the meal still lingering faintly, somewhere in your memory. The rough, familiar texture of rope, still faintly present in your fingers. The deep, star-scattered black of the sky beyond the porthole. All of it folding together now, gently. The way the darkness has folded the corners of the cabin. The way sleep folds the edges of a long, quiet day into something soft and formless and complete, and the water keeps moving against the hull. So close, so steady, that slow, wet, endless murmur, over and over. And you are so warm now beneath the heavy blankets, so held, so still, that the sound and the rocking and the warmth have all become one single, slow thing. One long, soft wave that you are simply resting inside of, drifting lower and lower with each small rise and fall, the way a leaf might settle slowly through still water, unhurried, weightless, sinking without any sense of falling. And somewhere, in that slow sinking, the small, separate parts of the evening begin to lose their edges entirely. The warm cabin and the low lamp and the taste of bread and oil and the coil of rope beneath your palm and the wide, star-filled sky beyond the porthole. All of it drifting closer together, blending, softening, the way colours blend when you close your eyes very tightly and then let them rest, until there is no longer any real difference between the memory of the evening and the feeling of the bunk beneath you now. Both equally soft, equally warm, equally far away, and equally close. Somewhere the lamp has gone fully dark now. Or perhaps your eyes have simply stopped seeing it. It is hard to say which. Hard to say anything at all with any certainty anymore. Only that the dark is soft, and the blankets are heavy, and the water goes on, and on, and on, lapping, lapping. So slow now, so far away, and so close, at the very same time. A sound with no more edges to it, no more beginning, no more end. Only the long, warm, rocking middle of it. The middle you're resting inside, sinking deeper into with every breath, every rise, every fall. And the boat rocks, and the water speaks its slow, wet, wordless language against the hull. And your body has grown so heavy, so warm, so entirely without tension, that it no longer feels like something you are inside of at all. Only something that is resting. Only something that is held by the blankets, by the mattress, by the wide, dark water beneath the hull, by the wide, dark night beyond the portholes, by the whole small, hidden, sheltered cove, wrapped so gently around this one small boat, and somewhere beyond even that, beyond the cove and the headland and the last faint memory of stars, there is only this now, only the slow rise, the slow fall, the soft, endless lapping, the deep and total warmth, the heavy, gentle weight of the blankets settling you further and further down into something wide and dark and completely without edges. A place with no more names for things, no more shapes. Only softness, only warmth, only the long, unhurried rocking that has carried you, without your noticing exactly when, past the last small threshold of waking and into something wider, quieter, deeper still, and you are floating now somewhere between the last soft edges of thought and the deep, slow, wordless place beneath them. where the water keeps lapping and lapping and lapping so gently, so completely, that it no longer needs a name at all, and neither do you. Only this warmth, only this weight, only this slow, patient rocking that holds you and holds you and holds you. And you are already there, already gone, already asleep.